Okay, go ahead.
All set? Perfect. So inside of our menu configurator, I want us to think of this as a book. Okay, so we have our left page over here with our designer and our right page over here with our list. Okay? On the left-hand side is where we'll actually be able to move items around and change their layout. So we can move items up, move them around, however we want to have them laid out. And we can also navigate into each group, because clicking on a group from here does not take us into a group. We don't get to see what's inside of it. The only way we can see what's inside of it is if we go through this drop-down here. And from this drop-down, we would select the group that we want. This is alphabetical, so we can select which group we want. So in this case, I want to see what's inside of names. I would drop down into names, and this is what the inside of the names group looks like. Now, alternatively, if I go back to my list over here on the right-hand side of the screen, and I go under my Groups tab, I can navigate to any of the groups from here. So if I want to see what's inside of apps, I can click on it, and I can hit Show in the bottom. This will now show me what's inside of that group. Now I want us to keep in mind that if I click anything on the right-hand side of the screen, my Details tab will show up on the left-hand side of the screen. If I click something from the left-hand side of the screen, my Details tab will show up on the right-hand side of the screen. Okay, so the Details tab moves around, but it's the same tab, just depending on what screen you click on the item from. Okay? So what I'm looking at here inside of my group apps, I'm taking a look at the group apps. So these buttons on the left-hand side are just groups inside of each group. Inception, I know. But these groups are just allowing us to quickly shortcut to any of the other groups we want to from the main menu. And when I click on a group, on the right-hand side, I have the options to adjust the colors and the way that the button looks. Now, this is applied through a style, typically, and our styles are located at the bottom of the left screen, which allows us to apply a style. And once we click Apply Style, we have all of these styles to choose from. Now, the one that's being used right here is our shortcut style, which gives it that smaller square look that works as a shortcut button. Now, the next option is inside of a group. Now, again, I have my apps selected. If I go into the General tab, I have the option to adjust the name and the optional question. So every time I was hitting the modifier button, the optional question that would come up is decided from here. So we can have a different optional question come up per group. Now, for all of the food groups, I have food mods coming up, which has that list of all of the different options we have to adjust our food. And then for any alcoholic menus, I have our liquor prep coming up, which has all of our liquor options. So if we wanted to have it and Coke, and root beer, twist, straight up, dirty, dry, so on and so forth, those options are all available inside of liquor prep, which is a question. Food mods is also a question. And I'm going to be getting into questions next. Now we also have the option to choose what we want the columns and rows to be. So inside of our apps group, which is what we're in, you can see we have 4 columns to choose from, and we have 8 rows. This is the typical layout that I use for all of the groups, but if you want to change that, you absolutely can. Again, I'll just select my apps group here, and go to the General tab, and I can adjust what I want these columns to be. So if I want them to be 8 columns, it's going to give me smaller squares to work with. If I want it to be more rows, again, there's smaller squares to work with, but typically I like to work with a 4 by 8 grid, as it seems to fit a little bit nicer and allows our buttons to be a decent size for everybody to view it. Now, that was the options we have for groups. Alternatively, we have our items. So right now I'm selecting a group on the right-hand side of the screen under our list, which is why my Details tab is showing up on the left. But I'm going to go back to our Designer tab in the top left. and I'm going to select an item from inside of our apps group. When I select an item, again, the details tab is now showing up on the right-hand side of the screen because I selected the item from the left. With the details for a item, we have a few more options available. So first, to start off with, we have our button options and how we want our button to look, which again is pulled from our styles down in the bottom. The next tab that we have is our general tab. Now the general tab for an item is where we're going to be able to decide what this item is going to be called on the menu with our description, what this item is going to be called when it gets sent to the kitchen, so we can have a different name that the kitchen sees, and this is our remote description. And then we have what the item is going to look like for the customer on their final receipt, and that's the check description. Just underneath of that, we have the reporting class that it's reporting to. In this case, it's reporting to apps, which is fitting as it's inside of the apps group. Now, this is where we get to decide how we want our items to report. So if we're trying to see on our daily totals at the end of the day, when our end of day is completed, and we're trying to see total sales for our different classes, so like we want to know how many apps we sold or how many names that we sold, we would be doing this based on our minor class. So if our items that we're creating are not assigned to the correct minor class, we'll be getting skewed numbers on our report. So we need to make sure that when we're creating new items, we're setting them to the correct minor class. Just underneath of that, we have our default price for an item. So this is $15, which means when I click on this item off of the menu, it's going to cost $15. Just to the right of that, we have the default cost for the item. This is $5. So this means it costs you guys $5 for this item, and it is charged $15, which means there is $10 profit there. Okay, so this, again, I can't recall who was actually asking about the cost analysis, but this is where we would be setting the cost for our item so that we can do the correct cost analysis. Okay?
Yeah, it was myself. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Sorry, Jamie. Just underneath of here, underneath of our default price item, we have our default price mod. So this price is the price that this item will take if it is inside of a question. This is going to be different than if it's inside of a group. Currently, it is sitting inside of the group app, and it is going to be using the $15 price. If this was sitting inside of a question, which is something that could, like our food mods, when we hit modifiers, we have that question come up that has all these items inside of it. That's going to be using the modifier price, because now this item is no longer going to be the parent item that's ordered. It is going to be a subsequent item of a parent item, which means it is now going to cost an alternative price. At this point, it'll be $0, but we can adjust this to be anything. We can say it's going to be $2.50. If this item is used as a modifier, it's going to be $2.50 for a Caesar salad. Okay?
So the default price $2.50 modifier, default cost $5. So why do you have a default price of $2.50? Sorry.
So the $2.50 right here is just if this item is used inside of a question, it's going to be a $2.50 upcharge for whatever item it's modified. So let's say you order a steak.
Well, hold on, go on. So if you order a steak, go ahead.
Yeah, if you order a steak and then you have a question come up that contains this Caesar salad, then when we select that Caesar salad, as a modifier now, not as a parent item, so it's not the Caesar salad food meal, it's going to be the Caesar salad as a modifier to the steak. It's going to cost $2.50 as opposed to $15.
Okay, because it's already selected as part of a meal, and you're just modifying it.
Essentially, but let's say the steak comes with fries, and you're going to change it to a Caesar salad. Now it's going to cost $2.50.
Oh wow, that's a big jump from $15 to $2.50. If the cost price is $5, if your cost price is $5, why would you have your price modifier under your cost?
It was just an example.
Oh, okay. But generally, that wouldn't be below cost, though, right?
Right, but we can also change the default cost for the modifier. So let's say the portion size is different. So let's say just for this is $2.50, we can change the cost for how much it costs for a modifier. It costs us 50 cents when it's a modifier because the portion size is different. This is now going to be like a side Caesar salad as opposed to a main Caesar salad. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to change it back to 0 though, just so that we don't affect your menu. Now, let's say we wanted to add a forced question to this. So let's say this Caesar salad needed a question to pop up when we selected it. We can add that question right here. So if I say new, I get to select from these options so far for what question I want to pop up. So let's say when I selected our Caesar salad, we wanted to know dipping sauce is what's in there, but just as an example, let's say we wanted to know what dipping sauce we wanted with it. Now, what this is going to do is when we select Caesar salad off of the menu, it's going to come up with a question asking us what dipping sauce do we want. Now, right now it is set as a 1 to 1, which means we must select at least one option off of the menu, and we can only select up to one option. This can be changed if I change this to, say, 0. This means I do not have to select one of these options. The question will still pop up, but I don't have to select anything. I can just hit done, but I can only select up to one option. After that, the question will close. Okay?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like this is where we would add like a question for steak, right?
Exactly, and I'm actually going to go over to steak and add that in here so that you guys can see what that looks like. So if I'm just going to remove this from here, and I'm actually going to head over to steak. So to get to the steak, I have a few options. One, I can navigate to my main from this drop down, which would be right here. 2, I can go to my list, and I can go down to my main from here, and then hit show. Or option 3, I can go to my items tab, and I can search for steak. So if I search for steak, and then I hit search, my steak will show up. And if I select it again, I'm going to select it from the right side of the screen, so my details is going to show on the left. So now that I have my steak selected, I can go down to my questions area, and I can add a new question to this steak, and I'm going to add meat temperature. When I add meat temperature, I'm just going to hit OK, and I'm going to leave it as a 1 to 1 because I need you to select one, but you can only select one option. You can't select multiple.
All right.
Okay?
Sorry, what's an example of multiple options with the sauces?
Let's say for a liquor item, so I'm going to go to designer, I'm going to go down to gin, we'll say, and inside of gin we'll select one of the items. We have a liquor prep option come up. So the liquor prep is going to access how do we want our drink made, because this is going to be just a straight liquor, right? So we need to know how this drink is made. So this question is going to come up, and it's going to allow us to select as many options as we want. In this case, 0 to 99 options is what we can select, and then we can hit done to close this question. That way it's coming up for us.
Nice.
And we would select multiple options, because in this case, there might be more than just one option that wants to be selected, right?
So like if you had, Scott, for example, like if you had the Caesar salad, your pop-up questions underneath could be no dressing, dressing on side, add chicken, no dairy. You know, like
Exactly.
you could automatically have all those questions pop up if you feel like people are constantly choosing. Like instead of constantly going in and picking your modifier, you should have all those questions come up so that they have to answer them, right?
Right.
That's a perfect example of when this would be, when we would have multiple forced options.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the next tab that I'm going to show you on our items, so again, we have our 100 selected here. If I go over to prices item, and I go into here, we'll notice we have our default price, and it's using our non-qualifying tax, which is our 13%. And down here at the bottom, we have our amount, which is $10. Right now, our 100 doesn't have a cost associated to it. And if we wanted this to be an open price item, we would check off open. This would allow us to type in an amount that this is going to charge when this item is selected. So right now it's going to be $10, but if we check off open, it's going to now be an open price item. So we have to type in the amount. Additionally, we can actually include taxes in this price. So if we say amount includes taxes, now this is going to be $10 taxes in. Okay? If we ever need to change that. The next option is prices mod. This is going to give us the same options except with one additional one, which is amount is factor. Amount is factor means that since this item is now being used as a modifier, so when this item is used as a modifier, it's going to have a specific price based on a factor of the parent item price. So again, if we think of our Caesar salad example, let me go back there just so that it's a visual for you guys. If we go back to our Caesar salad, and we're looking at prices mod for our Caesar salad, when this is used as a modifier, it's going to be a factor of whatever parent item it is modifying. So let's say it was the steak. This is going to cost 5% of what that steak costs. And that'll adjust our price accordingly. Okay? Does that kind of make sense?
I'm good.
Cool. Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. The next option is printing. So right now, we have everything inheriting from the parent class. And again, the parent class of an item is the minor class, which in this case is apps. And the parent class of apps is going to be food. So right now, this is inheriting the printing for the kitchen from the parent class. So it knows it's going to print to the kitchen because the parent class says so. The last option we have is miscellaneous here. So remember how I was saying we can have specific hold times based on items? This is where we would set it, but like we said, we're not going to be going with that option. We're going to be using the hold and fire option with the menu item instead. Now, the inside of our miscellaneous tab, we have more options. So we have the option to show the optional question. So the optional question right now, as I was saying, inside of our group, we have the food modifiers question set as our optional question. So when we hit the modifiers button, while we're inside of the apps group, the food modifiers screen comes up. We can have that screen show up when the Caesar salad is selected by checking off this box. That way it automatically pops up with the modifier screen. We don't have to set anything inside of questions because this is going to just show our optional question for the group. Okay? Now the last option here is change recipe. So if we ever wanted to give more details on what the recipe of an item is, when we hit change recipe, we're able to type in some of the items that are included inside of this recipe if we need to specify that at all. Okay?
Is that where I would create cue cards for the different drinks?
You could. The only problem is to actually show this, we would need to search an item inside of the menu. So remember the item lookup that I showed you? We would need to search for the item there and then hit details. That's the only way that we could pull that up. There's no other option, unfortunately, from the menu other than searching for the item and hitting details.
Okay, you don't have like a way to make cue cards for everything.
Unfortunately not, no. That would be the best option we have. Is if you did list all of the instructions in here, then we can go into the menu, and while we're ordering, we just have to go to other options, item lookup, type in the item we're looking for, and hit detail once we select that item. Okay?
Okay. You should talk to the programmers about that. That makes it so much easier when you have a POS system and you just have a little cue card button in the bottom. So while you're navigating your menu, you can press view cue card and then tap anything, whether it's a food plate, a drink, a shot, and it tells you what goes into it.
I agree that would be a fantastic idea. It is something I can mention to the reporters as well, or the reporters, the programmers as well. Okay, so that was the options inside of an item. I've shown you the options for a group, item. The last one is our questions here. Questions are pretty much the same as groups, so if I click on food mod, you'll notice this screen looks very similar to what a group would look like. The only difference is there is no optional question, because this in its own is a question. So we have the option for columns and rows again, as well as the name. And inside of miscellaneous, there's only associations. Inside of associations, it's going to show you where this question is associated, if it's a forced question on an item. So if we take a look at inside of food mods, I'm going to hit show, and I'm going to click on designer. And that's going to show me what's inside of food mod. So remember when I pulled this up when we were looking at some of the items? So this is where our do not make button is and our special instructions, and then all of our additional options for no bacon, no basil, no beef, no cheese, so on and so forth. Now inside of here you can make changes as well. So you can click on stuff, you can drag it around, you can move them to wherever you want. Now this is where items are going to be taking the mod price. Let's say, for example, if we were to make something dairy-free, it's going to cost an extra $1. We would not put the price right here under prices item, because this item is inside of a question. So we would put the price under prices mod. So now if we select dairy-free, it's going to be a $1 upcharge. Okay? Does that make sense how the different prices take effect? You guys are feeling okay about that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, I understand the upcharge, but it's just because it's an add-on. But why would you, by saying that you're removing something, charge $1?
Because maybe you have to use more expensive products to make something dairy-free.
Exactly.
Oh, okay. I thought they were. Never mind. I thought they were taking away a product, not replacing it with something else.
Yeah, it's just making it dairy-free. Okay.
Sure, I'm in a meeting. Can you
So
check the reception about dashboard or message me, please, online?
Groups, questions, and items. The next thing I'm going to jump into here is classes. So classes is how we organize our reporting for items. So our items are classified by these major classes. These are what is going to show up on our end-of-day report. Okay? So our end-of-day report is going to show our totals for beer, our totals for beverage, food, liquor. Now inside of there, we can specify even further by apps, names, sandwiches, which we have done. This allows us to pull specific reports, but on the end of day, we are only going to be looking at the major classes. Okay? Now, with our classes, so our classes work in a hierarchy structure, so our major class is on top, and our major class decides whether the items are going to be printed to the kitchen, the bar, or not at all. They also decide our taxes. So if they're going to be using the qualifying, non-qualifying. Qualifying, again, is what's going to be used for everything except for alcohol. Now, our minor class inherits from the parent class. So sandwiches is inheriting its taxes from the parent class. It's also inheriting its printing from the parent class, which means all of the items that are classified as sandwiches are going to be inheriting their printing and taxing from the parent class as well, unless otherwise stated by unchecking inherit. Okay, now lastly, we have the option to choose whether this is going to allow discounts or allow gratuities. You can specify that per class, which is really nice. If it's something, let's say for example we have liquor, for an example, and we'll say vodka. With vodka, we don't want to allow discounts. So we can just deselect it right here, and now discounts won't apply no matter what rules are set in place on the discount. You can't discount anything that's vodka. Okay? Now, if we were to add an item into a group, I'm going to go back to my group here, and we'll say coffee, for example. If I show the coffee group, and I want to add another item into here, I will go to my list, I will go to items, and I can search for any item that I want. So let's say, green tea. I know green tea is already in there, but let's say we want to add another green tea. I would select it from my list, and now when I select it from my list, you can see there's a little remove button here. If this item was not in that group already, we would have an add button right here. So I'm going to go back to my designer. Just because I clicked it from the right-hand side, my details tab showed up. So I'm going to go back to my designer. I'm going to take my group key, and I'm going to drag that into the group. Just clicking and dragging brings it into the group. And if I didn't want this into the group anymore, I would just select the item and go to the button tab and remove button. Or alternatively, I can just hit delete on my keyboard. So I'm going to remove that button, which takes it right out of the group. Okay, any questions so far?
No.
No property.
Okay, alright. Okay. Now, are we going to be having a happy hour or anything at all?
Yeah, I'm sure that might happen.
Okay.
Hey,
So if we are
I am still in that meeting.
have our
So
item,
I've been in it since 10 a.m.
part of a happy hour,
So
we
I'm
can
gonna call you
actually
right when I'm done though.
price
So
levels
don't do
and
anything.
schedules
Yeah.
to adjust the price. Because we can't discount alcohol, but we can adjust the price at a certain time. So let's
Okay.
say, for
So let
example,
me call you.
we'll
Let me
take
call you when
our-
I'm done my meeting. I'm in a meeting with Will. We've been in it for 8 hours, like 4 hours
Here.
since 10 a.m.
So we'll say our
Okay.
Bud Light.
I gotta go.
If I go to my details and I go to prices item, is $7.50 for a Bud Light. So let's say during happy hour, it's only going to cost us $4.50. Well, if I go to my list, I'm going to jump into price levels. So a price level is what this is right here. So again, I just went back to my details tab for Bud Light, and I'm looking at prices item. So the price level here is default. It's using our default price level. What we're going to do is we're going to create another price level to go underneath of that. That'll be an alternative price that this item will take based on a schedule. So I'm going to go back to my list now, and I'm going to head over to price levels. The price levels right now is empty, so I'm going to add a new price level. When I hit new in the bottom right, a new price level is essentially just a name. So I'm going to call this happy hour. All it is a name. This name actually does something based on a schedule. So if I head over one more tab over, we have schedules, which is also blank. So if I create a new schedule, and we'll call this happy hour schedule, the start date is going to be today, and it's never going to end as of right now. And this is going to take effect only on weekdays from p.m. to 9 p.m. Okay, so start time is 8 p.m., stop time is 9 p.m., and it's only going to run on Monday through Friday. Now I'm going to head over to affected items. Affected items is what's actually going to be affected by this schedule. If I put in any groups or items, this is going to restrict these items so they cannot be ordered unless this schedule is running. So unless it's between the hours of 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. on Monday to Friday, we would not be able to order any items that we put into here. Now that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is we want to adjust the price during this time. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in that new price level that we created. I'm going to hit modify under the price level section. And I'm going to add in a new price level. That new price level is going to be the one that we just created called happy hour. I'm going to hit OK once I've selected it. And I'm going to close this window now that I see happy hour in the list. What I just did there is I changed this price level to now be active during the time of 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Monday through Friday. So if I go back to an item now, if I hit designer and we go back to my Bud Light, go back to our Bud Light here, and we go to our prices item tab, we can now add a new price level into this list. So right now it's using the default price of $7.50.
And then you add a happy hour and it gives you a discount based on the schedule.
Exactly. I can add in happy hour and set whatever price I want it to be. So this, I'll say just for example, $4.50. So now at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m., this item is going to be $4.50. After 9 p.m., it's going to go back to $7.50 automatically.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
I like it. So we could have 50% off ladies' night, between or something like that, or something like between anybody that comes in between this time and this time get 50% off. So you instead of having price amount, do you have like a global just 50% off anything on that price mod?
Unfortunately, we can't do that. Unfortunately, the only option is to set a static price.
So you have to go into each item and set a static price?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty dirty.
It sounds tedious, I know, but the reasoning behind it is that each price is a little bit different, and the fact that we can't set a percentage, we can only set a dollar amount. We would need to be able to set that price and have the ability to select that price for each item.
Is this open database? Like, is this MySQL or anything? Or
Is this what, sorry?
MySQL? Like, what database are you guys using?
It is SQL that we're using there.
So you guys can, like, if we said, can you just, okay, never mind. Okay. We can't write queries or anything in the back end to just do it. Okay. So that's a lot. Like, if you have hundreds of devices, items, you have to click on each one of them. Okay. I'm losing you guys, I think. Is everybody there? Yeah, I'm losing you. I think my internet's going down again. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, guys, so how are we feeling about using the menu configurator here?
Well, so for the initial, like when we start adding everything, you guys assist with that, the process, just to make sure, like it's going to be repetitive, as we can see, but just kind of like when we start into it, we don't want to make any mistakes, since if you make a mistake, you can't make a global change. You have to go back and click every item, right?
Yeah. Like we would have to change it per item, and we would be adding individual items in. The initial menu that was sent over to me is what I have programmed into here.
Yeah, it's not the menu anymore. It's been changed. So we have to redo it again.
Okay, what's been changed on it?
Omar? Omar, are you there?
Yeah. I don't think he's part of this call anymore.
The menu was changed due to because we have to do delivery right now. Our menu was tweaked for delivery purposes, so we can send you the new menu.
Okay, if I am going to rebuild the menu, it's going to take longer to ship the equipment because then I'll have to do everything again here, which is fine. I can do it, but I just want you to be aware that it is going to take a little bit longer to now ship the equipment if I'm going to redo the menu.
Okay.
Because I have built the menu from what was sent over, so I can absolutely make the change. That's not a problem. I just need you to be aware that it is now going to take longer because I have to redo it all.
How long do you think it would take?
It could take up to a week.
So we could probably enter in the menu, but like maybe someone can assist us in entering it, so then we know how to enter it. We don't make any mistakes entering it.
Absolutely. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually send out, as well as with this recording of this training, I'm also going to send out some documents that could be of assistance when you feel like you might be stuck on something. There'll be those documents for creating menu items, creating employees, just common actions that would be taken. We have guides and stuff for that, which I'm also going to include in a follow-up email after this. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, guys, so I'm going to close out of the menu here. Now when I hit close, since I didn't hit save yet, it's going to ask me, do you want to save the changes before exiting? Do you want me to save those changes for the schedule and everything, or do you want me to say no and remove that?
Yeah, you can remove that right now because that's not our schedule. Like you're talking about the happy hour schedule?
Yeah, I just didn't know if you wanted to use that as a template or not.
No, I think we should set it up properly.
Okay, so I'm just going to hit no here. So that was our configuration page.
Can you go to menu again?
Yeah.
Okay, and so we have two menus. Like it says group main menu. From that drop down, we can have two menus in there.
What do you mean by two main menus?
So we have a keto menu, and then we have a regular menu, and then we actually have three, and then we have a meal plan delivery service.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you wanted to add in different groups, by all means, you can go into groups here, and we can create new groups. And these new groups can contain whatever items you want. So if we wanted to, what was that last menu that you said?
Meal plans. So like a person might get like two meals a day for like a month, you know?
So if we have a meal plan menu, that's perfect. So we can change the name to meal plan. Set the optional modifier, or the optional question, I always set it to food mod. And then I just changed the columns and rows just to be
4 and 8
by 8. Yeah, just so that I find it to be a better size. And if I show this group right now, it's blank, and I'm able to add in, as I showed, whatever items we want. So any items that we want, if we, like let's say for example, we have this chicken salad, that's going to be part of this menu. We can have the Caesar salad as well, and maybe we want to put in a steak as well.
Yeah.
We can add our steak into here as well. So now this menu is going to consist of these items.
Okay.
So this is going to be our meal plan menu.
Nice. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward.
It is, yeah. answer them right now.
Hey, Warren. Hey. I'm just in the. I'm in the training. Are you? I'm in that training. Yeah, I'm still in it.
Alright, good.
We're just going over your stuff, actually. So yeah, can I call you right back? I'll call you. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to close out of this here, and I'm not going to save that. So that was our configuration section. The last thing I'm going to show you guys here is our general section. So if we ever need to reprint a receipt from a previous date, all we would need is our check number, and we can reprint that closed stuff with our check number. Okay, so as soon as we type it in, we'll say check 1, I hit OK. It's not even closed. So we would need a closed check. So once we have a check number, we can reprint that closed stub, which would essentially just print off the receipt for whoever is asking for it again. The same method with reopen check, we would need a check number. I do not suggest that we reopen checks, just because when we are reopening checks, it is going to remove the sales from that business date and open it on today's business date. So I just want that to be something that I'm very clear on and that we're very aware of, that if we reopen a check from a previous date, it is going to close now on today's date and remove the sales from the previous date. Okay? So our numbers are going to be changing.
How do you go back and fix a check then?
So if we need to fix the check, we can change tender. So if we hit change tender and enter a check number, I'm just going to take a guess. Okay, so let's say I'm changing the tender on check 5 here. So they paid with cash. I can adjust this here. I can adjust the payment method, and I can adjust the tip if I need to. So I can change the tip. Okay, because it's cash and nobody's tracking tips through cash, but if it was credit card,
Yeah.
so let's remove this payment. So I'm going to remove the cash payment. I'm going to remove the penny routing. And we'll add in a credit card. And we'll say that they paid $39. So now I can change the tip if I need to. We'll say the tip is $10 that they tipped, which means they paid $40.13. So we can make adjustments to everything on the payment method side on a closed check. But please keep in mind that if we are changing numbers back here, this is going to be changing the numbers for our end of day. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay, but change tender would be the way that I would suggest that we change anything if we need to, not reopen check. So once I'm done with my changes, I can exit and I will save my changes. And it will close out of manager options, but that one, that closed, that check now is closed under American Express as opposed to cash. Okay? Now, we do have the option to deal with locks. So you guys are working with an iPad. This iPad could have the potential to have somebody open a check on it and then close the iPad and walk away with that check still open on the iPad. I've seen it happen. So if that happens, we won't be able to open that check anymore on any other station. If we need to open a check that's stuck open on an iPad somewhere and nobody can find the iPad, we can go into locks and we can just remove all locks. Essentially what this does is it locks the station to a certain action that they're doing. And if we remove all the locks, it'll unlock that and we will now be able to access that order. Okay? So removing all locks, it does no harm. It just removes the locks and allows you access on another station at this point now. Okay? Now, the last thing I want to take a look at here is reports. Is there a report that you guys think specifically could be a handy report to look at? Any kind of information that we're looking for in particular? So what I'll show you guys, if I go into sales here, our sales category, the first one I'm going to show us is our daily totals. If I create our daily totals, it's going to ask me to select a few options, so the date, the time, and then any other filters that I would want to apply, such as server filters or certain shifts. Right now, I'm going to leave everything as default, which will automatically select today's date for the entire business day, which is 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. Even if we cross midnight, this will still report for the sales crossing midnight. And then all servers. So I'm going to generate this on screen. I'm going to generate this. And this is going to be the same as what our server read showed, which is going to show us our major class sales before taxes. It's going to show us our total taxes and the kinds of payments that we took. Now you'll notice we do have one Amex payment now because I changed tender on that one bill to Amex instead of cash. And if I go down to my net cash owing, we'll see that on my net cash owing, I have for the store, which is not per person, this is for the store, I have taken $99 in cash. I have non-cash tips of $10, which I need to pay out to the staff, and I have a payout of $300, which means that in total, I need to pay out $210. Okay? This is where our pay-in and payouts is also going to show for the store, not per person, just for the store. Now it's also going to show me my totals of voids and cancellations, which is going to show down here as well. Oops, sorry. So our voids show here. Again, this is our total amount of voids done. And all our cancellations as well, which we looked at on the server reports. Then it shows me a server summary for all servers that worked or all staff that worked. And this, right now, we only have our test user, but this shows their totals as well as any discounts and refunds that they would have done. It shows right here. Lastly, we have our pay-in and payout summary. So we had our DJ payout for $300. So we get to keep track of that here as well. And then we have a little statistical summary for the day. This is the report that we're going to be looking at on a daily basis. This is what prints out at the end of the day. When we perform our end of day, this is what we will see. Right? And again, this is for the entire store or all servers, not just one person. Any questions on that?
What do you say, Will? Will, what do you think? Because that's more like.
So the next one I'm going to show us here is going to
Sorry, Will. What do you think of that, Will? Like when it comes down to those reports. Can I see that report again? Can you pull it back up?
I'm in the car, so I can't see the report, but from what I hear, it sounds fine.
Well, the report is the way that. Can you pull it up again? Yeah. So can this be exported into CSV?
I'm sorry?
Can you export the reports into CSV, into Excel?
You can. So we will have a live reporting that you'll be able to subscribe to. So I'm going to send out an invitation, Jamie, most likely to you, and you will become the sponsor, and you will have the ability to send out the invitation to others. Now, that's going to be this reporting exactly, but it's going to be available online, so you can get to that from your phone, your computer, wherever, and there you'll be able to download as PDF, CSV, or just view the report online. Okay, that way we don't have to do it directly from the POS every time. You can actually do it from
Basically, it's cloud-based, which is a huge benefit. And then you get this exact report emailed to you as soon as they hit end of day at the end of every night. And then you can look through any mods or any voids or any promos or discounts. I like to look through all of it on a daily basis. So.
Absolutely. And that's something that we'll be subscribing to. Once the stations are installed on your site, we'll be able to subscribe to the subscription, and you'll be able to view your reports online through a link that I'll provide for you once our stations are in place. Okay?
Yeah, no, it's great for me. That's great.
Perfect.
Like the reporting system is excellent. My only question is, are you guys able to do metrics on male, female? I thought I remembered when Michael showed me this, like in 2014, like I thought I remembered there being male-female association. And the reason why I asked that is because whenever we do Groupon activations, which I was always against Groupon until Peter did it with 18, and he had such a huge rapport with it. And then we did Slice & Co. Groupon, and we were actually the #1 Groupon account in Ottawa. And the reason why I loved it was the analytics. The analytics would show what postal codes that most of our customers were from, whether it was male, female. So we'd see different promotions, how they were trending, whether they would trend male or female heavy, what our discount applied would be. And so same thing in-house. Let's say, for example, we put the halloumi salad or Caesar salad. It'd be beneficial to see if that's being ordered by how many women and how many men, and what percentage of our customer base is ordering which items.
Yeah, so we can if we're reporting on that when we're placing our orders. So when we place our order, we're not depicting whether it's male or female sitting down. We can do that if we use a graphical interface. It does just take a little bit longer to place the order because to seat the guest, you have to actually select each person individually as opposed to just typing in a number like 6 people are sitting down, 7 people are sitting down. You have to tap on each seat.
That might be crazy, but do you not, when you press the seat, do you not press like male-female? Does it not like a male-female icon come up when you press the seat?
So that is an alternative option. It's not something that I typically display just because it's not typically used. But if we open up our orders here, right now, we don't have that option. But if we go to a graph, we do have the option to place a seat of a male or a female.
Oh, so cool.
Okay. So that option is there if we want to use that. But like I said, this could get a little bit more tedious, placing our guest seating through the graphical view. If this is something that we would prefer, I can set this to the default so that by default we're using the graphical view. What would we prefer here, guys?
I'd like to see it in function. I mean, I'll be able to tell when I'm using it just to see if it's any more tedious or not. I'm not sure because I haven't served using the system before personally. But I know from a management perspective, having those analytics available to us is massive because, let's say, for example, if the place, like when I was running Foundation, we were very female driven. Like out of 220 seats a night, we'd have 180 seats that were female, mostly bachelorette parties and whatnot, and 60 males. And so a lot of the items we ended up changing, making them, when the analytics data would come back, we'd end up changing our cocktail menu so that our cocktail menu was like sweeter and more fruity and less like booze heavy or booze forward cocktails. There's a lot of analytics. Like sometimes you design your business to be one way, but your customer actually tells you what your business is going to be, and lets you add strengths and weaknesses. So the more analytics, the better.
I agree. I'm a huge analytic guy.
Oh, awesome.
Okay, so how do we feel about using the graphical view as our default then?
Yeah, let's start with that, and we'll see how she goes. I mean, we're not 220-seat restaurant. We're a 30-seat restaurant, so I don't think we'd be any issues.
Okay, so to change that, I'm going to head over to floor plans here, and all I'm going to do is seat selection here is now I'm going to change it to graphical.
Oh, perfect.
So if we ever need to change it, you can change it right here back to numerical to set it by default, okay?
So let's see what does it look like now. Let's take a look.
It's the same. It's just now instead of having to hit graphical, instead of having to hit graphical, it's going to come up automatically with the graphical layout.
Love it.
Okay, if we want to go back to quantity, we can hit the quantity button. What it's going to say here is you're about to switch. You will not be able to switch back. Do you want to continue? and then we get to select our seat count if we want to use the numerical. Okay?
That's okay. Press OK. Well, no, not 56. Press 5 counts or what? Yeah. Okay. When do we assign? When does it assign?
At the bottom.
So that's what I'm saying. With the numerical view, we can't assign it. It has to be done through the graphical view. So
Okay.
inside of graphical, we would depict whether it's male here with the green shirt or female with the pink shirt.
I see. Okay.
Okay?
How did you do that? You just checked it, like just clicking it?
Yeah, just tapping it. Just tapping it changes it.
I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, these are the functions. These are the reasons why I love
So
Solo.
click the large table, and what happens then instead of just a single table? And go ahead and
the
put.
option for.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay?
Yeah, amazing.
Perfect. Wonderful.
Yeah, because I'll tell you something in the restaurant industry. Way too many people who aren't experienced in the restaurant industry just make decisions off gut call, and they don't make decisions off empirical data. Like, I have a finance background before I was in restaurants, so I like to analyze the analytics as much as possible. You know, a lot of people, like a server, will say, "Oh, you can't get rid of that beer." You know, people order it all the time. But really, when you look at the analytics, you find it was ordered 6 times that last month, whereas other beers were ordered over 300 times.
Right, and it was ordered 6 times by that one person, that one server.
Yeah, right?
Or no, that one server. So that server sees that it's she's selling a lot of it because she's not pushing anything else, but no one else is selling it.
You get it. That's exactly right.
So by being able to drill down, that's why I was asking. That's why I was asking if reports can be exported, so then I can put them into macros and run queries against them.
Of course, and it can be as long as we're using our online reporting. You can absolutely have those saved as CSVs.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So the last thing I'm going to show us here is how we perform the end of day. So what I just did is I just closed all of my open tables, and I'm going to go back into manager options with my manager code, and I'm going to hit perform end of day. Now what it's going to tell me is you are currently signed in, you must sign out. So that tells me I need to go into staff options with my manager code, and I need to sign out. Now I'm just going to double check and make sure there's no other users signed in, so I'm going to say yes to do I want to sign out other users. When I hit yes, I can see test is still signed in, so I'm going to sign test out and print the report as well. I'm going to say go.
So when you sign out test and we go to pay him his pay, it's based on the time you signed him out because he didn't sign out, or how does that work?
Well, that's what I was saying before. We can adjust the time either when we're signing him out or in manager options.
Because I'm thinking if he didn't sign out and he finished at 5 and then you're signing him out at 10, we should be able to put something for review or something like that, check the cameras or...
Well, and again, that's what I said here. We have inside the configurations, we have our clock in and clock out time. So if I need to adjust test time, I have his start time at 10:18 a.m., but I adjusted that to 11 a.m. So I can now adjust his end time here. Now I could have adjusted it while I was signing him out. There was an adjust time button, which I showed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So if I want to modify this shift now, I can modify it and say, actually, he signed out at 1 p.m.
Okay. We can just use the camera for
now
that.
his shift is 11 to 1, and he worked 2 hours as opposed to the 10:18 to 3:41 shift.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now that everybody is signed out and all my orders are closed, if I go into my manager options, I can click perform end of day. When I hit perform end of day, it's going to tell me the end of day procedure completed successfully. When I hit OK, I notice my system is now closed in the top left, and my end of day report printed out on the check printer down here. This is my end of day report right here for my daily totals for back to Brooklyn. My end of day report. And this is the same daily totals that we were just taking a look at inside of our report.
Okay.
So guys, how are we feeling? Do we have any questions, any concerns?
Well, like me never being in a POS system before, my concern is just the fact it's a little overwhelming. The same as when I'm giving training on other products, right? Like if I give a training session that's literally almost 6 hours long, there's only so much you retain, right? But from an overall perspective of looking at it from a broad view and not as a technical view, like going in and actually going to do the work, I think me personally, I'm good. I got a really good overview of how everything works. Now it would just be kind of what type of things would I be doing in the system, what my responsibilities would be doing. It'd be more looking at reporting and that kind of stuff. And the same with Will, I'm sure. And then I can let the others comment on their side of things. But from an initial over a broader view of it, I think it's good. I would like some more pinpoint training, like actually putting in the menu, like doing it, looking for where there's options and stuff like that. Might have questions when I'm putting it in, but I think that's all I would need at this point.
Okay, that's awesome. That's really good to hear. How's everybody else feeling?
So for me, my big thing, I think Jimmy kind of touched on it as well, is that if we're going to be hiring, the industry itself has a lot of churn, a lot of turnover and stuff like that. My only concern is that if we're hiring people who don't have experience in software, is there like a more streamlined, smaller, compressed version of the day-to-day based on your responsibilities, like a training type material that we can propagate to new employees or existing employees or refresher courses or something like that?
Yeah, so I have, I'm going to be including in a follow-up email, I'm going to include a bunch of guides. I'm going to send that over in the thread that we have going there.